They don't buy power, she says. They feed it. The relationship began like a dream. Mansions, travel, rooms where doors opened before she touched them. But luxury came with rules. Unspoken rules whispered at dinners where no one raised their voice, and certain names were never said. She soon learned those names were not people, but presences. We will call him Adrian, a fictitious name, identity protected, heir to a financial empire built over generations. Since childhood, he was prepared not just for leadership in business, but for an inner circle called the Red Circle. The elite were not only rich, they were devoted to a system of exchange few survived long enough to understand. At first, she thought it was just another secret society, but it was not strategy they discussed. It was offerings, not corporate planning, but entities older than any modern religion. One name repeated with unsettling reverence: Belial. They didn't pray to him. They negotiated with him. The first sign came at a gala. People she recognized from magazines arrived silently and delivered envelopes. Not invitations, commitments. Adrian watched, not as a participant, but as a supervisor. She realized he was not a guest, he was a host. And hosts had responsibilities the world never saw. 7 days later, she saw the basement. Not storage, a temple. Stone walls beneath a mansion newer than the country itself. The floor marked with concentric symbols, the ceiling painted with a watching eye. This is where wealth is maintained, Adrian said. Continuation requires cost. Adrian claimed the circle had existed for over a century, passing through presidents, moguls, artists, bankers. Power is not inherited, he said. It is renewed. And renewal demanded something of emotional value, something human. Debt, once created, always returned to the debtor. Even if decades passed, her first ceremony was silent. No screams, only breathing and a blue flame that burned without consuming. People in designer clothing murmured a word: offering. She didn't understand at first. Later, she learned each person had given up something irreplaceable. Love, memory, a life they refused to name, used. Pacts were not prayed, they were whispered like contracts. She felt a coldness in her bones. Adrian held her hand, saying, "Nothing here is free. If you stay, you pay. If you run, it costs more." It wasn't a threat, it was a rule. Presence was consent. She confronted him. He didn't deny anything. "The world doesn't fear losing wealth," he said. "It fears losing relevance." To secure relevance, sacrifices were made, not of bodies, but of meaning. "Ritual is maintenance," he added. "Maintenance keeps us alive." Others didn't join for ambition, but for survival. Bankers near collapse, politicians about to be exposed, actors aging out of fame. The circle saved them, not with luck, but with exchange. Miracles in the public eye, payments in closed rooms. Equivalent trade, Adrian called it, a cruel balance sheet. In the mansion's restricted library, she found a leather-bound ledger. Names of families that never fell, corporations saved from collapse, scandals erased, generations protected. It wasn't fame, it was insurance. Legacy guaranteed through cost. Adrian found her reading it. "Curiosity is the most expensive weakness," he said. He showed the name of his grandfather, a man who survived 3 fatal illnesses. "Medicine saved him publicly," Adrian remarked, "but you should ask what saved him privately." She asked what the circle truly demanded. Adrian answered, "Something that scars you. Not money, not property, something tied to identity. Joy can be sacrificed. Innocence, people. The circle measures value by the pain it leaves behind." She realized love could be currency. An envelope arrived. Black paper, red border, date, time, no instructions, just a sentence. "Presence confirms permanence." It was her first official summons, not as visitor, but potential participant. Adrian didn't insist she go. He just waited. Silence was his invitation. At Malibu, the mansion seemed alive. The walls seemed to breathe with the flame. Familiar faces from television and finance spoke in murmurs. One smiled at her and said, "If you are here, you've already decided," then walked away. Not a threat, a verdict. The ritual began. 3 taps on the floor, 2 words in a language she didn't know, and silence like a held breath. The flame flickered without wind. The air vibrated like a presence taking shape. Fear froze her, not because she wasn't allowed to run, but because she understood running had a cost. The first man stood. He listed his gains, reputation restored, an investigation vanished, contracts reclaimed. Then he spoke the loss. A person. No one gasped, no one cried. They nodded. Exchange is payment. Payment is permanence. This was the Circle's doctrine. Adrian rose. He offered memory, a box of letters and photos from his mother, burned in blue flame. No anger, only procedure. The room watched without pity. She understood. Sacrifice wasn't violence, it was deletion, erasing what kept a soul human. In that moment, she saw the path split. Stay and pay, run and owe. She chose neither. She froze. Adrian whispered, "Freedom isn't exit. Freedom is cost." She realized leaving wouldn't save her. It would relocate the debt, and someone else would pay it. She sought a lawyer outside the city, someone unconnected to the elite. She presented documents, dates, locations. He listened in silence, then closed the folder. "If it's true, I can't defend you. If it's false, I can't represent you." She realized help would not come, not because no one believed her, but because no one dared to. She met with a well-known investigative journalist. She spoke for hours, naming participants, describing rituals, providing everything she remembered. 2 days later, headlines appeared, not about the Circle, but about her. Unstable, delusional, disgraced. The article erased her credibility. The Circle hadn't silenced her. It redirected the narrative. Retaliation arrived quietly. Her bank cards stopped working. Her apartment contract dissolved. Friends cut contact without explanation. Doors that once opened with ease now shut before she reached them. The Circle did not threaten. It reorganized reality around her. It did not chase. Relevance eroded her into isolation. Adrian appeared again, not in a mansion but in a cheap cafe. No bodyguards, no excess, just calm. He slid an envelope across the table. "This is not punishment," he said. "It's adjustment." Inside was a date for the next renewal, not as a witness, but as a participant. Silence became agreement. She asked what happened if she refused. Adrian spoke without emotion. Debt doesn't vanish, it relocates. Not a threat to her life, but to someone else's. The Circle did not need violence. It needed replacement. A cost postponed is a cost reassigned. Someone always pays. The only question was who. The next envelope arrived. Black, but with a name written inside. A waitress she barely knew. Someone ordinary, invisible to the world. A perfect target. The Circle didn't pick important people. They picked replaceable ones. Lives that disappeared quietly. She realized her refusal had already chosen this woman for her. She ran to the cafe, but the waitress was gone. Co-workers said she left early. A witness saw her enter a black car. Police listed it as voluntary disappearance. There were no posters, no urgency, no search. The world had already accepted the loss. The Circle didn't hide their traces. They erased the need to look for them. She returned to Adrian and demanded the truth. "Is her disappearance my fault?" He didn't blink. The Circle is momentum. When you don't move, someone moves for you. When you don't pay, someone pays instead. It was the most horrifying answer of all. Not coercion, substitution. She learned police reports could dissolve, journalists could reverse stories, corporations could collapse or revive with a phone call. The circle wasn't behind the world, they were inside it. Not a separated conspiracy, but a spine that held the system upright. Legacy was the ritual, wealth was the altar. On the night of the summons, she returned, not to join, but to stop what she could. Yet the mansion felt different. More cars, more bodies, more presence. Someone new led the ceremony. Hooded, older than the room itself. "Did you come to pay or prevent?" he asked. Silence was her answer. Presence was consent. Each member knelt, palms pressed to the floor, as though reaching for something beneath the earth. The hooded figure opened a book that seemed to resist being read. Symbols shifted across the page like insects. The room vibrated. She felt watched by something without eyes. Not a god, not a demon, a contract made conscious. Adrian stood next to her. "This isn't cruelty," he whispered. "It's continuity." He spoke like someone resigned to a destiny, not enslaved by it. The circle didn't seek permission. It expected adaptation. She realized power isn't a throne. It's a cage with velvet walls. Survival is choosing not to feel the bars. A chair was placed in the center. No chains, no restraints. Fear did the work. The hooded figure said, "Witnessing binds. Refusal binds harder." She understood. Denial was also participation. Running made her responsible for whoever replaced her. The circle did not punish resistance. It weaponized it. They brought in a man she recognized from business news, a CEO who had vanished months earlier. Officially, burnout. Unofficially, debt matured. He trembled, not because of what would happen, but because he knew it couldn't be stopped. The circle did not demand his fear. It demanded his acceptance. The blade rose, not ritualistic, procedural, no theatrics, no flourish, an execution not of life but of ownership. In that moment, she understood. The circle didn't kill people. It converted them into rumor, memory, disappearances, into empty seats at dinner tables, into cautionary tales no one believes. Afterward, members discussed investments, elections, corporate mergers, as if nothing had happened. That was the true horror, not the ritual, but the normality around it. This wasn't a secret, it was tradition. The world wasn't oblivious. It was structured to function above the bodies. Adrian approached. "You understand now, leaving isn't freedom, leaving is transfer." She finally realized the circle never chased her because she never escaped. She had been participating from the moment she stayed silent. Silence is signature. Fear is ink. Debt is permanent. She drove until the desert swallowed cell signal. She slept in the car, but dreams followed, not nightmares, reminders, whispers of choices she didn't make, and choices she did. The circle didn't need to appear. It lived where her guilt settled. A haunting built from responsibility, not superstition. Life rebuilt itself around her. A new job, new city, new number. But advertisements arrived with her name. A stranger paid her rent in advance. Opportunities appeared that she hadn't applied for. The circle was not chasing her. It was waiting, revolving, interest compounding, debts aging like wine. Another envelope, not black, white, a symbol of transition, not a summons, an invitation to ascend. Neutrality is over, it read. Choose direction. At the bottom, no signature, just the eye, watching, expecting. She understood the truth. The circle did not want loyalty. It wanted function. She was no longer a guest. She was becoming infrastructure.
She left before sunrise. The highway felt endless but not empty. The silence of the desert felt like surveillance. She realized she wasn't fleeing the circle. She was fleeing the version of herself born in that room. The greatest prison was not the pact. It was the awareness of it. The understanding that stepping away did not mean stepping out.
She changed cities, names, and routines. But small anomalies followed: a job offer with no application, a landlord who already knew her schedule, a stranger greeting her by name. The circle didn't track her through force, it tracked her through consequence. A pact embedded into the machinery of her life. Months passed. One morning, an envelope was slipped under her door. No color border, just a sentence handwritten, "Witnesses are participants." And beneath it, the seal of the eye. Not threatening, reminding. The circle did not say, "Come back." It said, "We never ended." Fear returned like a pulse. She considered ending her own life, not from despair, but from strategy. If she died, perhaps the pact would die with her. But she remembered the rule: death ends life, not debt. The circle collected through lineage, not flesh. Suicide was not escape, it was outsourcing. Someone she loved would pay instead. A year later, the envelope arrived. White border, a rare designation, ascension. Few received it, fewer survived it. She understood immediately. This was her threshold, not punishment, promotion, or assimilation. Return or be replaced. The circle did not need her consent, it needed her presence. Adrian appeared again, not as a lover, but as an emissary. "You've lasted longer than most." His tone was not proud, it was curious. "Every step away from us has led you back. That is the nature of gravity." She asked if she had a choice. He answered with a question. "Is gravity a choice?" In the next gathering, they did not ask her to perform a ritual. They asked her to stand in the center. "You offer yourself," the hooded figure said. "Not physically, symbolically, a living signature." The circle didn't want her blood, it wanted her alignment. Consent in silence, participation in posture, a contract signed by standing still. Instead of sacrifice, they brought a mirror, tall, old, and warped like memory. She was instructed to look until something separated. At first, she saw her reflection. Then she saw absence, not of her body, but of her previous self. When she stepped back, she felt lighter, not liberated, subtracted, like a room missing furniture she couldn't name. They declared her integrated, not loyal but useful. She would not be a priest, but a gate. Recruiters were more valuable than worshippers. She was now part of the architecture, not someone who acted, but someone who enabled action. The circle didn't expand by force, it expanded by offering openings. She was now one. After the ceremony, she returned to the world. The skyline looked the same. Traffic, news, normalcy, but the normal world no longer felt real. She could see the scaffolding now, the hidden framework supporting the image of society. The circle wasn't beneath the world, it was the world. The hidden layer beneath headlines and boardrooms. For the next year, she watched the pattern. People fell from grace and rose again without explanation. Corporations collapsed and resurrected. Elections tilted without scandal. Fame decayed and reappeared. To the public, randomness. To her, accounting. The world was an ongoing negotiation, every headline a ledger entry. When she speaks now, she uses no names. She doesn't seek rescue, she seeks record. "There must be evidence," she says. "Something for someone to find later." She no longer asks what the circle is. She asks how many circles exist, how many pacts keep the world balanced on the edge of secrecy, how many lives finance the illusion of stability. She does not claim escape. She claims awareness. That is the closest thing to freedom she can afford. She walks through airports and conferences like a ghost wearing her own body. She laughs at jokes. She signs contracts. She smiles at cameras. But she knows. And knowledge is a currency that cannot be refunded. If she vanishes, she says, let this be the explanation. Silence will not mean guilt. Disappearance will not mean surrender. It will mean the debt matured. If her story seems unbelievable, that is why it works. The circle survives through implausibility. The world only questions what feels real. It never investigates what feels impossible. So she leaves one warning behind. Never trust a door that opens too easily. Wealth without origin, power without explanation, opportunity without effort. When someone rises too fast, ask what fell to make room. Ask what vanished. Ask what price was paid in a currency you cannot see. The circle doesn't recruit, it selects. And sometimes selection feels like destiny.